Hello leprechauns, what is happening? Welcome back. I asked you guys on Instagram what topics you would like me to cover, and my good friend Stephanie Mind Warrior, who is my psychosis pal, she has a page devoted to sharing her story on schizophrenia and recovery. Check it out, Stephanie Mind Warrior. I will add a link in the description. Stephanie asked me the question, how do people react to you whenever you tell them your diagnosis? And I have actually never thought about this before. The only time that I've ever thought about this is whenever I go on a date. And that's whenever paranoia really starts to kick in. The what ifs. What if they judge me because of my label? What if they think I'm crazy? You know that jazz? So, what I do personally is I don't tell them on the first date, but I will tell them on the second date. And, well, to date, I've not made it to the second date, so I don't have any evidence to back up on the success rate of that. In fact, the last two ladies that I have tried to get with, it's been a one-date wonder. Yeah, so not great. With other people, I don't tell them that I have psychosis unless I have to. Reasons that I might have to is if someone offers me a smoke of a joint, or if someone offers me alcohol. Then I will tell them that, no, sorry, I'm sober. And if they ask why I'm sober, then I'll tell them I have psychosis. And part of my recovery of psychosis is to go sober. To go deeper into this, I will do a later vlog on my reasons for being sober and the benefits of it. But to give you a short description, I have a cannabis-induced psychosis, and I did used to drink a lot of alcohol heavily. So I wouldn't just have one beer or two beer, I'd have like 15 pints. And I used to take a lot of other drugs as well. But I've gone completely sober with the psychosis. I did slip up last week. I had alcoholic drinks 4 times, actually in the past 2 weeks. But I really do not like the effects. The first night that I had alcohol, I had 4 pints, maybe 5 pints. And whenever I was sleeping in my tent, bring it back, I was camping on an island, Rathlin Island in Ireland, and my voices got louder. I thought I could hear whispering outside of my tent, but it turns out it was just my psychosis, and my mate was snoring. But my mind perceived his snoring as if it was whispering. And I even asked my other friend who was awake during this, and he told me that there was no whispering going on. So it was the alcohol. Alcohol damages your brain, and so does cannabis. I have nothing against cannabis users. I smoked cannabis daily for 5 years. I actually fucking love weed. I do miss it occasionally, and I am fully supportive of the green vote, whether that's environment or weed. Free the weed, yeah! Yeah, cannabis should be legalized. Partially, the reason that I may have developed psychosis is because of the dirty cannabis that I was getting, sprayed with chemicals and fucking who knows where it's coming from. Well, in the north of Ireland, we know it is coming from the UDA, the paramilitary, the gang in the north of Ireland, which is supported by the British government, or else it used to be. So I'm very grateful that I do not support any more paramilitaries by not smoking any more weed. But yeah, if cannabis was legal, no more gangs would be making money, more people would get jobs, more tax would come in, and that can go to hospitals, education and society as a whole. Why the fuck would you not do it? A couple of statistics from Dr. Daniel Amen. He does brain scans of people, and he found that you're 450 times more likely to develop psychosis if you smoke cannabis. 450 times more likely. It's fucking crazy. Now, I smoked every day for 5 years and I never expected to get psychosis. But honestly, it wasn't the cannabis that was the reason for the psychosis. It was all the previous trauma, and the cannabis was just the icing on the cake. But yes, I don't actually tell people that I have mental illness unless it is suitable for me to do it. And if I do tell them I have a mental illness, I say it proudly and I tell them my story. Because if you have psychosis, you have an incredible story. You've gone through a lot more than the lay person or the normal person or the Layo person. Terrible joke. Your diagnosis is a label, but your diagnosis is not you. So you don't have to tell someone if you are diagnosed with a certain condition. You can if you want, if you feel like that would benefit the both of you, and maybe if that would calm you down in your conversation with them, but otherwise you don't need to. The majority of my family don't actually know that I have psychosis. Or if they do know I have psychosis, they've not said anything. It's sort of a taboo topic, and yeah, it's avoided by them, but I don't mind, because by them avoiding it, they speak to me as if I don't have the diagnosis. While I know some people, if they hear that you have this diagnosis, they probably will change their personality and the way that they speak to you because they associate the diagnosis with maybe what they see in horror movies, which is typically just not true. Diagnoses as a whole, it's an arbitrary name. Someone just pulled this name out of their arse and was like, there you go, your psychosis. The term psychosis has changed 5 times over the past 100 to 200 years. So if you're describing yourself as having psychosis, then technically you've also got 4 other names that people changed because it didn't fit the DSM's needs or psychiatry's needs. And psychiatrists, the ones that give you these diagnoses, they don't actually know what the diagnosis feels like themselves. And yet, it is them who write the books about the diagnoses and the recovery. But yet, what is the actual success rate of that recovery? And is it because of the psychiatrist? Not very likely. Very minimally. In fact, my psychiatrist, I've seen him 2 or 3 times. 5 minutes each session. He would not listen to me about my past problems. He only heard my drug use and condemned me with the term drug-induced psychosis, which I believe is a false diagnosis as a whole, because if you look at other people that have a drug-induced psychosis, they don't have the same symptoms as me. We have a couple of the same symptoms, and so we fit into the DSM's category, but in fact, we've got a completely different illness as a whole. I might hear voices, but another person with a drug-induced psychosis doesn't hear voices. I might have visual hallucinations. They might have more delusions. Yes, there are similarities, but overall it's completely different, and you're not getting at the etiology of the actual problem. Etiology, I had to squeeze that in because I learned this word recently. It means where it came from, so the why this is happening. And let's be honest, why do you need to tell someone that you've got a diagnosis? It doesn't change who you are. You are who you are. And you can say whatever you want about yourself, but be careful what you say about yourself. Because what you say to yourself, you then believe. If you say something enough to yourself, you will believe it. If someone else says something to you enough times, you will believe it. So, be conscious of your own thoughts. Be aware of your thinking patterns. Be aware of what you're saying to yourself, and be mindful of any negative thing that comes into your mind, whether that's about your body, about your looks, about your personality. You can choose what you say to yourself, and what you say to yourself radiates off you whenever you meet someone else. Do you ever notice when someone is confident? They're confident because of a couple of reasons, including psychological and physiologically, smiling, posture, and most importantly, mindset, how they speak to themselves. So, just because you have psychosis doesn't mean you're crazy, doesn't mean you're mad, but you know what it does mean? It means that you've gone through some trauma. And we're here to make that better. We're here together. So let's create a community. Let's care for each other, show compassion to each other with love and respect. Listen, learn, live. That's my messages today. I hope you enjoyed that. This is just a short wee vlog that I'm doing because I've got a sore back and a sore neck. I'm grateful for every single one of you that is messaging me, is following me, is contributing to Earth as a whole. You lovely being. And a final question for you leprechauns is the question that Stephanie asked me. I would love to hear what your response to that is. How do people react whenever you tell them that you have a diagnosis? Please write it down in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you very much for listening, leprechauns. Dog bless. Arr!